Welcome to the ILTV News Podcast. I'm your host, Executive Editor Maayan Hoffman, and I'm happy to have our viewers back for the show. Today, we're spotlighting an inspiring example of global education, innovation, and collaboration, right from the heart of Haifa. I'm joined by Dr. Shira Freeman, co-director of the University of Haifa's International Masters in Public Health Program in Global Health. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course, and I also have with us Madison Lewis, a recent MPH graduate from Dallas, Texas, who is already making waves through international research on climate and health. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, together we're going to explore why health leadership matters now more than ever, how one University of Haifa, is helping to shape the next generation of global changemakers. I want to start with you, Dr. Freeman. What inspired the creation of this international MPH program at the University of Haifa, and why does it continue to be so relevant even today?
10 years ago, when Professors Manfred Green and Richard Schuster launched this program, they had a very, very bold vision of combining global health, leadership, and health systems. This single program was the only one that existed at its time, and it's still one of very few in the world that has that combination. And 10 years on, we can see how relevant these topics still are. All you have to do is think back to the COVID-19 pandemic or the wildfires raging from California through to Southern Europe, flooding, the recent flooding in Texas, for example. All of these examples show that public health really doesn't obey any kind of political border. And we need leaders who can step up to these crises effectively, quickly, in order to safeguard health of individuals and health of entire communities.
At the time that the program was founded, was this one of the only programs of its kind, certainly in Israel and also abroad? How does that measure
Well,
up?
I'm told, actually Richard Schuster told me that it was the only program of its kind.
Wow.
So,
what a feeling.
Yeah.
It's really
But this was their vision.
Amazing. So now the program focuses on both global health leadership, you say, and also health systems administration. What does that mean in practical terms? If we talk about what that relates to students or to the future, what they're going to be doing in their jobs.
Okay, the idea is to prepare students to be those leaders who step up in crises or who maintain healthy, strong public health systems. Israel has one of the best public health systems in the entire world, and so it's a very good kind of lab for our students. And in order to prepare them, we provide them with the kind of superb education and all of the essentials that any public health professional needs. We give them practical experience, and we allow them to do their own independent research where they choose a health challenge, they tackle it, they really get their hands dirty, so to speak. In their and this is their capstone project. And those things together really, really prepare them in-class learning, practical experience, independent research to be able to begin to develop the kind of leadership skills and apply them in whatever the futures they decide they want to pursue.
And piggybacking on, what you mentioned, which is that Israel has one of the strongest and most robust public health systems actually in the world, and that is very true. Does this mean that students come from really all over the world to be able to study here?
Absolutely. Absolutely, from all over the world. And when we talk about global, we talk about the makeup of our student body. We talk about the curriculum and the way that global and leadership is woven into almost every course and is often the focus of a course or a seminar. But in addition to that, we have the opportunity to apply. And I can't stress more than anything the importance of that practical experience and the independent work. So while a student will take all of their coursework, et cetera, and so on, they then must. Now, I called it an opportunity, but it's also an obligation to apply, to use before they graduate. And then they really are prepared to walk out of the program once they've graduated and do the same thing in a real-world setting.
Unbelievable. Now, you experience this, you are emphasize this global leadership in an interdisciplinary context. Can you share a specific example then of what that looks like actually in the classroom or during the applied practice experience? Give me one specific example of how that carries out. And then also I'd love for you to relate it to the role that they play when they leave the school, meaning what job do they have after that?
Okay. Well, I'll give you an example of a particular practicum that one of our students did.
Great.
She is a physician from Colombia, and she did her internship with Magen David Adom. Magen David Adom is Israel's National Emergency Medical Services Association. And there what she was able to do was actually apply the skills that she already had as a physician, but in an emergency setting. She was able to learn about disaster planning and decision-making under pressure in the field. And that is not something that any student can get from a course.
Right. And what did she do after that?
She is currently pursuing her medical profession here in Israel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. It was kind of, the degree for her was kind of a step into the Israeli medical landscape.
Okay.
But every student has a different background and every student has a different ambition. And the practicum is designed to allow them to pursue whatever it is their interest and their passion is.
Do a lot of them take that back home to their home countries and help apply it there?
Yes.
Fascinating. Now, the program brings together issues like ethics, epidemiology, environmental health, and policy. Why is it important for students to understand the intersection in so many different fields?
Public health is inherently interdisciplinary. Students have to understand many, many, many different fields, but more important than that understanding of individual fields, they absolutely have to understand the connection between them, because what they will be doing as leaders is connecting the dots, bringing different stakeholders together in order to make change. They have to understand how things connect, and they have to understand how to connect different people and different sectors with different interests.
So I'm going to turn to you, Madison, in just a moment, but I do want to ask you just one last question before we move over, which is about this word leaders. We call it leaders. These are leaders in the program. They're going out to be leaders. Most of the time, when people go to get a master's degree, they are students. They become educated. I guess they have degrees. They're smart, but leaders. So what is this focus on leaders? How is that different than what you might see in another program? And why is that so important in public health?
The difference is, first of all, it's a second degree, and so everybody's coming with some set of skills. And many of our students, they're halfway to a profession as it is. It's not as if we're shaping them entirely. They've already shaped themselves. And we just facilitate that by providing relevant knowledge and that boost, that added boost where we're, in addition to everything that I've already described, the coursework, the practicum, the capstone project, we also give them through the faculty, through staff, the wonderful staff at the University of Haifa, supported networking, supporting career development, the things that they need in order to leverage what they bring into the program, what they gain from the program, in order to move forward.
Yeah, I've been to the University of Haifa, and it's not only a beautiful place, but it's also very, very diverse. And the community itself in Haifa, I'm sure, feeds into that, being the Druze, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, religious and non-religious. And really, it's such a fascinating place, I would think, to work on the public health in Israel, the hospitals in the area as well, with Rambam and going up a little further, Galilee, Ziv, all of these areas, certainly have such a diverse and interesting community. So, Madison, let me turn to you. You come from Dallas, Texas, as we said. I mean, Paris has been in the news, unfortunately, Texas lately, not for such positive reasons, but you came here to pursue this master's degree in public health. What would make you take that leap from Texas to Haifa?
So I originally came to Israel on a tour with my community in Texas, and I instantly fell in love with Israel. And I had this amazing divine connection to want to do my education here, finding out how innovative that Israel is in their education process, and seeing how I could address globally healthcare really impacted me. I didn't know exactly what I would do when I came to Israel, what would be my education. I knew I wanted to do something in medical field. I thought that would be medicine itself. But when I learned about this program and my passion for humanitarian aid, this really was the fit for me. And when I talked to the international school and they told me more about Haifa and more about the program, I felt at home instantly, and it was the perfect program for me.
Incredible. Now, share one experience that's really shaped your time, maybe something that's challenged you in order to be able to grow from this program.
Yeah, so I would say like I've had many amazing experiences, definitely life-changing. And I would say that my biggest experience has been that, Israel is very resilient, and I've learned a lot from Israelis, of like we've seen with the past 2 years of the atrocities that have happened and just difficult situations, and to see how they handle this with be it humor, be it prayer, and how to see that when you soften situations in this way, that you will not let people, whatever they try to do to you, take your joy away. And the power of doing these things, of having humor and praying, and how you can keep your peace in a time of chaos, really has impacted me. Yes, and educationally, I would say that it's been an amazing experience to be able to have an education that's like more of a family rather than a competition has been amazing.
How much time do you have left of your degree?
So I technically actually already finished my degree, but now I'm working on research with Dr. Freeman.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that research. You're doing it together, so maybe you'll start. You can also chime in. What are you researching? What are you doing?
So my piece of the research project is with public health and marine science together. And so my portion is the systematic review. And what we're doing is looking into the impacts of communities around the world and how cliff collapses have affected them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the repercussions of that.
Give me how that practically will play out for our health in the future.
Yeah, so there's many aspects that are a part of like the repercussions, that something that I never thought about. How does it affect the economy? How does it affect people's mental health? How does it affect tourism and people's overall well-being?
Fascinating. Dr. Freeman, do you want to add something to that?
I just wanted to add that this is this project is a nice example, and Madison's participation in it is a great example, because there are very, very few people who have the understanding of things like health impact assessment or health economics, who would be able to take a situation like global climate change, its effect on coastal cliffs, and how damage to those coastal cliffs affects communities living in the vicinity of those cliffs.
And are we talking about like erosion, for example, where the cliffs will get? When you talk about damage to a coastal cliff, what are you referring to?
We're talking about cliffs collapsing.
Cliffs literally collapsing,
literally
falling
collapsing
into the water,
into the
for example. Yes. Amazing. I mean, it's so fascinating. I was just at the World Health Assembly, in May, and there was a big focus on climate and health this year, and talking about the impact of, these things on everything you just described: economy, society, health, of course, being the major focus at a World Health Assembly. But it really is, it's very interesting. So how did your education in Israel then shape you differently if you wanted to go back to the U.S.? Like, are you planning to stay here forever? Or do you think you're going to bring this back home? And if so, how will you use it?
So I don't know how long my time will be in Israel. I would like to stay here as long as possible. That's why I'm so thankful that Dr. Freeman made it possible for me to stay longer and work on research. But the one thing that's different from your education in America versus here is that here there's no competition. It's like a family. The classroom dynamic that we had was such a system of just collaboration and being good friends. And so even when I discussed with my classmates about, like, wow, you've achieved milestones of education, like you're already a physician and I long to do that. And it's not like I'm like fighting you at all. Like, when they told me, the response was, we are in this together. I might be a physician, but that doesn't mean that I'm better than you. I'm in the same program, and so we're in this together. And that has really stuck with me. And I would like to just continue with that, One example, for instance, is I was in grant proposal class, Dr. Freeman's class, and we had to present a grant proposal for a research project. And I did mine on a nonprofit that I started. And the feedback that I got from the presentation was very constructive, but also very supportive. And I left that feeling like, wow, I actually have what it takes to be a leader.
It's very interesting. Do you want to add to that? In terms of, I'd love to hear from your perspective as the person facilitating this. What did you do to make it that Madison would be able to have that experience? What are the skills, or what kind of delivery are you doing in order to ensure that this actually occurs?
This is something that we've worked very hard on as a team. The faculty is to develop a system of education that focuses on interaction and demands collaboration among students so that they learn from each other. We learn from them, but they absolutely have to criticize constructively, accept criticism and suggestions, and work together and keep working together. And when they finish working together, they continue to work together. Because really that is the way that leadership works, is that ability to find your way around difficult situations, challenging situations, and come to a collaborative solution.
How many students are in the program per year? Or per time period, I guess?
I think on average we've had, I would say, between 15 and 25 in any given year. It varies considerably from year to year.
And each of them sort of doing their own research?
Excuse me?
And each doing their own research at different projects?
Yes.
Fascinating. I just want to say also, I love the way that you say it's a privilege, but it's also an obligation. We encourage, but we demand. It's really,
it's a soft kind of demand.
I understand the language now, why it feels so supportive. So, Madison, tell me a little bit about where you see yourself heading in your career. I mean, assuming that at some point you do wrap up this research and you're ready to move forward, what kind of job do you want to have?
So this program has I feel like before I didn't know what it was that you took to implement healthcare. And now after the program, I feel like I have a toolbox of resources and support needed to be able to do humanitarian aid successfully and how to impact communities around the world with whatever it takes. And so since I started the nonprofit, the mission and vision of it is actually to preserve the current healthcare that they have, to improve what they already, to make it, to go to the next step and to be a better support to communities. And to actually realize I'm not going to go in with my thought process of this is the best and it's just cliche, but the American way of to say I know the best for you, but rather to go in as a support and to say what are you currently doing and how can I help you to preserve what you already have and to take what you need to go to the next level.
So there's going to be hopefully a lot of people watching this. So if you could have a dream job, what would it be?
It would be to be able to help implement healthcare around the world. Yeah.
Great. So I want to ask for both of you, and maybe you'll start, and Dr. Freeman, you'll wrap us up. What advice would you give to a student thinking about studying abroad? Both from a practical standpoint and also from a visionary standpoint, and specifically, of course, at the University of Haifa.
So I would say don't be afraid to step out and to ask questions along the way. The students and staff at the international school and even the school in general, they're very supportive and they're with you on this journey. And there's a family involved. And so I would say to embrace that. And also the news will highlight the opposite of what reality is. And Haifa is a very beautiful city. From living in the mountains to being able to access the beach and everything in between. It's such a diverse, full of life community and city. And I seriously have to pinch myself regularly to realize that I'm actually not just living in a dream.
Wow. Oh, you just described exactly what it is to live in Israel, I think, perfectly. What about you, Dr. Freeman? Same question.
I would just say that, everything about the diversity and the beauty of Haifa and Haifa University is an absolute truth. It's worth experiencing. I would encourage anyone interested in public health in taking up the challenge, embracing the challenge, partnering with faculty, staff, students in order to achieve whatever your public health goals are through our program.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that either of you want to add or something you wish I'd asked you that I didn't?
Okay.
No, but you're free to reach out to me at any time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for being here. Madison Lewis and Dr. Friedman from the University of Haifa.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Truly.